Live from Coldwell Banker, it's Friday Morning Live. And in honor of the big game tonight, we have the K-State flag song for our intro. But nonetheless, as we have been promising you guys all week long, we are going to talk about pretty much the 10 most common obstacles we see after a seller has that for sale sign planted in the yard. And we know once that sign goes in, sellers are always anxious to get these sold sign in the yard. But we know sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as sellers would like it to. So today we're going to address kind of those 10 more common reasons. We know that a lot of homes, when you first pull up, they can be misleading. Sometimes you'll hear agents say, "This is not a drive-by. You need to go in."
Yes.
But
that could be the hardest, just getting the buyer out of the car.
Right.
If there's debris in the front yard, if the front door is painted a color that's a little out there, just cobwebs. If it's not Halloween, shouldn't have cobwebs. The lawn should be mowed, the hoses should be rolled up and things like that, because you don't want, the sidewalks to be cluttered and everything like that. So we got to be able to get the buyer out of the car.
Yeah, and we know Curb Appeal has a lot to do that. If we can get them out of the car into the house, then those interior obstacles come into play.
Yeah. If a house is really dated, the brass and glass that are still in a lot of
Wallpaper.
they still work, and the light fixtures work, but a lot of people they just see that as a project, and moving is such a big undertaking that getting it updated and the new carpet, if it's got shag, or Berbers, some Berbers can date the house. And so kind of getting it, fresh and new and, always helps for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and one thing we've seen in our market, the life of a mortgage here is 3.5 years, give or take. So a lot of buyers, they know they're not going to be here long enough to, tear down the wallpaper, put in new light fixtures, replace flooring. They want it move-in ready. And they're thinking at least 2015 move-in ready, not 1985 or 1995.
And the scary thing with wallpaper is if you've ever removed it, depending on who put it up and how they put it up, it may not come down real easy. And so a lot of times I've heard people go, "No, I've done that before, and I'm doing it again."
That wallpaper glue might literally
especially if the wallpaper's been painted over as well. Then it's multiple layers of adhesion. So those wallpaper's scary. I know I've also had experiences where the home is still very much the homeowner's home. They have the family pictures all over. They have their diplomas all over. In fact, I had a buyer once. We walked in the house and it was the house. I could just tell, the body language. She felt at home, and then she sees the name of the homeowner on the diploma and was like, "Oh, I know this person. I don't want to negotiate with this person." And so game over. But had that diploma and name not been visible, we would have been writing an offer on that. I know you guys have seen a lot of issues with overly personalized.
Yeah, with the personalization, because it can be anything from sports teams. It's amazing. I mean, some people take such pride in their sports team, and
Big 12,
Then all of a sudden there may be a little different logo on a mailbox, or hanging a big flag on the wall or something, and that can turn buyers off too. It's just amazing, those little things that hit on. So
definitely, and really personalized, color palettes can also be, a lot for people to, kind of get over. And it goes back to that transient population that we have that, they just want to be able to move in. The more move-in ready it can be, the better.
Yes, definitely. And tagging on to the move-in ready, it's really hard if the house has a lot of clutter, and if for buyers to envision how they will live in that house once they get into it.
You got to pack away all those extras that you're not using. Clear off the surfaces. If you think of a rule as no more than 3 items on a surface. That's
Mhm.
plenty,
Yeah.
especially countertops, fridge, your
Yeah.
bathroom vanities,
Mhm.
even your walkways, your halls, and we've got bookshelves, we've got chairs that are kind of in a pathway. Stuff like that can clutter a home, make it feel
Mhm.
smaller than it really is.
Yep.
Mhm. And if you have gone in and replaced the countertops and you have beautiful granite or corian, but you have
yeah.
all your appliances out on the
Uh-huh.
counter, no one's going to see
Right.
what
Yeah.
you've done.
Too
Yeah.
distracted.
Mhm.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah. And it's so, I know when I meet with sellers, and you guys probably have the exact same thing, and people say, well, what am I, where am I going to put it? Box it up and put it in the garage.
Mhm.
Everybody understands that you're moving. And so,
Right.
most people aren't shocked to see moving boxes in the
Right.
garage.
Mhm.
And, it just helps the house show better.
Mhm.
And yeah, kind of like you said, 3 more, if you don't use it every day,
Yeah.
it just needs to
Pack
go
it up.
away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. So,
Definitely.
well, it gives you that head start too, because your goal is to sell, to move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So pack it up,
Pack
put
it
it in the
up anyway.
garage, and if you have
Yeah.
more than a garage worth, throw it in the storage unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it makes it easier to clean, to keep the house clean,
Yes.
because having your home
Right.
on the market is a full-time job.
Uh-huh.
Right.
With,
More
'cause-
stuff you have to put away,
Yep.
clean up all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It never fails the day that you didn't get the dishes done.
That's when the showing request
That's the day you
comes.
have
Uh-huh.
showings. And it's going to be when you can't get home, you can't run home from work because you have a
Right.
meeting or something, because that's just life.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think it makes it easier to clean when you don't have so much stuff to clean around and vacuum around and all of that.
And I think the whole cleanliness factor is huge.
Mhm.
A lot of times we liken selling a house to selling a car. And if you had a car that you were going to trade in for a new vehicle, you wouldn't take it to the dealership covered in mud, crumbs all over the baseboard.
Bag
you
of
know.
M&Ms that's spilled.
Exactly,
Yeah.
stale fry under the seat. You would either take, an afternoon yourself to scrub down
Yep.
the car, clean it out, or maybe even spend the $150 to have someone detail it, knowing that now it's going to
Yeah.
look like it's worth $3,000 more than it was
Right.
before. Same thing with your house.
Mhm.
Deep clean.
Yeah.
And then as those showing requests come through, it's so much easier to
Mhm.
just get ready because you've had that really good, clean
Right.
foundation.
Yeah. And there's just nothing beats clean.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Well, that's I don't want to say smell of clean, but there's just
That
something,
scent.
the
Yeah.
scent. Yeah, the scent of cleanliness
Mhm.
Yeah.
goes a long ways too.
It really does.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
Because I know sometimes as listing agents, it can be very difficult when the feedback comes in that an agent picked up an odor in the house
Uh-huh.
or their buyer
Yes.
picked up an odor. And as the listing agent is like, okay, let's figure out what this odor is, but how do we broach this topic? Odor,
Mhm.
we've seen a lot with odor
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
years.
Yeah.
And it can be a thing, not necessarily a bad odor, but just, really strong scented candles,
Candles,
plugins, potpourris, things like
Mhm.
that just are kind of overpowering.
Mhm.
Allergies.
Probably not much bigger than what, a 2x2,
Maybe.
until they
Yeah.
click on
Especially if
it.
they're on their phone.
Yeah, until they click on it and blow it up, that's what you gotta catch a buyer's attention on. So your photos are really, really important.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. It's that first impression
Mhm.
that people get of your home.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we found that having room measurements can be a world of help for buyers too,
Mhm.
especially with our transient population who
Yeah.
they're here for a weekend and they have to, look at 20 homes.
Right.
And if the house is vacant, it's really hard to gauge space. But if you have room dimensions
Uh-huh.
available, they can go home, measure their room, measure their
Mhm.
children's room,
Uh-huh.
their furniture, and hey, guess what? It actually does
Yeah.
fit. So providing all that information
Right.
can be very, very
Mhm.
helpful in getting your house sold.
And good
Yeah.
description, because we all know on our multiple list service, we get quite a bit of space for description of
Mhm.
property, and
Right.
let's describe it to people
Mhm.
too.
Yeah. If it's been updated and if they've gotten all new appliances or whatever.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's
So,
some things that you can't see in the photos.
Mhm.
Right.
Is the roof brand new? Did they replace?
Windows?
Yeah.
Yep, all those bones that the
Yeah.
photo's not going to tell you the
Uh-huh.
backstory.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So you definitely want that.
definitely. And then there are some challenges that are very difficult to fix, because what we've talked about so far,
Mostly fixable.
they're fixable,
Yeah.
you know, but there are some things that are harder.
Mhm.
What have you guys encountered as some of the more difficult remedies or issues to remedy?
Well, when you have that functional obsolescence,
Ooh,
that big word that we
Yeah.
all know, what is that?
Yep, had to know to get licensed, but then the public doesn't know what functional obsolescence is.
Yeah, but it's, that time when you've got this ranch style home and there's maybe one bedroom on the main floor and that's it. Everything else is in the basement. Or there are a few homes out there where they're upside down, as we're gonna call it, where you walk in and you actually go downstairs and you're getting to your main living area, kitchen, stuff like that, bedrooms upstairs. That can be an issue for some buyers as well. Even our appraisers have some issues with some of those too, because the bedroom counts above grade versus below grade is different for value and everything. So,
And a lot of people, they want that open floor plan now. So when you have an older home that has more of the small rooms, a traditional dining room, where people just really like the wide open spaces now, can be really challenging. And it's a big undertaking to knock out walls.
yes,
And try to reconfigure a house. So hence
Yeah.
the big word of functional obsolescence.
Yeah, so I feel like too, if the house is built after a certain period in time, people expect things like an attached garage, you know, because they want to be able to pull in, park, go into the house. Now, a house that's 100 years old, they're happy just to have a garage that's still standing at a certain point, based on the age of your home. Buyers are expecting certain features.
Right. Definitely. Definitely. The galley kitchens.
Yes.
Those, when you said older home, you think of those more in an older home. Galley kitchens can make it a little bit more challenging because people like islands.
Yes.
That goes back to that open floor plan and countertop space and.
Then of course there's always the one that we can't resolve, and everybody always says, what is real estate? Well, it's location, location, location. So
you could hypothetically pick up a house and move it, but we know that's also going to cost you more than any house is going to cost to buy. So we know that when you buy that house, you are buying that location. I know there's been times where the house itself that we have listed is just a little gem. The neighbor next door, not so much of a gem. And when you're buying the gem, you're buying the diamond in the rough next door too, because if you end up selling in 3 years, even say 10, 15 years, and that house is still a diamond in the rough, that's gonna, kind of turn buyers off. So that can be a huge obstacle.
You could be next to a railroad track. You could be next to a commercial area, rentals in this town. Obviously, there's a lot of rentals. So, are those maybe college kids, maybe others, but they might be, having weekend parties, or there might be, just other things happening outside the building that you're hearing and stuff like that too. So,
even, schools. A lot of people like to be really close walking distance to schools, but not necessarily right across the street from schools. And, it's really evident if you have that house scheduled to show at about 3 o'clock. Or we don't show typically when kids are going to school, but if you have that set around 3 o'clock and there's kids running everywhere and cars and traffic and parents, and people think, oh man, if I had to run home really quick,
it might not be for everyone.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Sometimes location is great for one person, but not another. Just like Tara said with the schools, we see that with parks too. Some people love being able to open up the back gate of their yard, go to the park. They don't have to incur the expense of play equipment and all that. Some people, though, they want that privacy. When they come home, they don't want everyone in their backyard. Another backyard issue, we've even seen it with front yards. If you back up to a major highway, that can pose some major safety concerns. If you have pets, small children in the home, or even visiting, that's you can't change that location.
Well, and especially in our area where we just keep getting bigger and bigger, and and people also wonder, will those roads expand?
Then
And will they need to
Mhm.
add lanes? And where are they gonna go?
they're gonna take
Close.
your
They're
backyard.
gonna take the backyard, they're gonna
Exactly.
go closer to your
Uh-huh.
house. And
Right.
so it can be really challenging to get buyers to look past
Mhm.
those things.
Yep. Well, and on a similar note, being that we are a growth community, there's times people get so excited because the house is at the very end of a subdivision. You have
Oh,
this
yeah.
open prairie next
Uh-huh.
door.
Yep.
Rule of thumb, if it's undeveloped, plan on it getting developed
Yeah.
at some point, or
Some
that
point.
farmer who has the little
Mhm.
homestead may go ahead and
Will
sell
sell.
out.
Yeah.
So then again, you can't change your
Yeah.
location. It
Right.
might get built up
Right.
around you. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, what do I do when I don't have a good location?
Oh, this is the answer sellers, I don't want to say hate, but do not like hearing. But ultimately, we know in real estate, price settles
Mhm.
everything. It fixes everything.
Mhm.
At a certain price, buyers are willing to take on the wallpaper removal. They may go, okay, we're not sure what that odor is. We're not sure what it's going to entail to get it out.
Mhm.
But hey, at this price, we're willing,
We're willing to
Willing
take the
to-
chance.
to,
Uh-huh.
yep, to do it.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yep, they can even remodel, knock out those walls to get that
Yep.
open floor plan, make it an addition to give them maybe more veterans where they need them, things like that.
Mhm.
But it all boils down to price,
Yeah.
because ultimately, as much as we like to say, a seller sets the price of their home,
Mhm.
well, they do initially to put it on the market, but
Mhm.
it's a buyer
Yep.
that tells you what your home is
Mhm.
valued at.
Mhm.
It's the buyer that really sets that value, because until somebody's willing to pay you that price, you didn't get anywhere. You didn't
Exactly.
get the job done. And so I always use the analogy of the sweater at the mall.
Mhm.
You go shopping one day and that sweater's $50 and you go, nah, don't need it that bad. That's just not, a big deal. And then the next week you go and they've got it half price and now it's $25. And you go, sweater's looking pretty